Elephant Man Podcast Network, grown man conversations dealing with elephants in the room. It's your man, Moray DB. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can know when new material coming out. IG, Elephant Man _podcast, Facebook /podcast. Hit the Paleo Hebrew in the bottom right corner for the on the subscribe to YouTube and / poster board. They have to change that Twitter to X. All right. Also, we are on TikTok at Elephant Man 219. Subscribe, and also Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Connect, Hebrew Sphere. Shalom. Shalom. Blessings to everyone on Sunday Weekly Build. Hopefully you joined us for our last one prior before the fall. We read Revelation 16 to 17. And we're going to read some more stuff. But today is probably for the fall part 2. And make sure you like, subscribe. Hit those hearts in the bottom right corner so you can know you get some good algorithm going on. But I want to share this one video. And I just want to talk about the private sector versus the public sector. And I want to talk about, the pros and cons to it. Now, like I mentioned before, the private, let's just read that definition real quick. I'm going to read that definition. Okay. Projecting it. You can't see it, but I can see it. Private versus public sector. The private sector is a part of the economy not run by the government. It comprises of businesses and enterprises that are controlled by private individuals and groups for the purpose of making a profit. Companies and organizations run by the state are considered a public sector. So it is nothing wrong with capitalism if it doesn't hurt or someone else. Abba Yahuwah said he make it rich and add no sorrow. But I think the problem is people want to privatize prisons, privatize the food industry, the drug industry, the medical industry, all these different industries, and have their rich friends come in and take over the sector. And so it's going to be a very, very, you can get a lot of control, a lot of power if wicked people privatize a lot of different things. Capitalism is an economic system where individuals and businesses, not government, own and control most resources, businesses and industries with the goal of making a profit through competition and free market. So, that's what one of the inceptions of the United States of America was capitalism and the private sector and building businesses, right? That's why they make the thing. They say the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But anyway, I want to go on because this might explain why a lot of the government cuts, right? The public sector, right? You cut those government funds, you cut them, and then you turn around and you privatize them, give them to your friends, or you put your cousins or your people in place to run them, right? So it's more pros, it's more cons than pros to that. But they just cut the USDA just cut $1 billion in food, and the reason they got. So let's watch the video on it. They cut $1 billion. The USDA is going to cut $1 billion in food, and it's going to affect women and children, low income women and children at schools and food banks. But let's check this out. Oh, fair use. Let's do the fair use first because we don't want no issues. So let me go down here to the fair use and do the fair use video first. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Again, fair use. Let's go ahead and play the video real quick. They short little videos. Check it out.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture has cut over $1 billion in federal funding for schools and food banks. This comes at a time when WRTV has reported Indiana-based food banks and pantries are seeing an increased need. WRTV's Nico Panisi explains how this will affect Hoosiers.
we'll keep doing what we can with the resources that we have.
Emily Bryant works with Feeding Indiana's Hungry, a nonprofit that partners with 11 food banks across Indiana's 92 counties. Member food banks, including Indianapolis-based Gleaners, have distributed 130 million pounds of food to Hoosiers in need. Bryant says the need continues to grow year after year.
Our network of food banks have always purchased food locally as much as we can.
But the ability to purchase food from Indiana farmers and ranchers just got harder. This week, the USDA announced it would cut 2 programs that help schools and food banks buy from local farmers. One of them, the Local Food Purchase Assistance Cooperative Agreement Program, would have funded about $500 million this year.
We want to support the local ag economy. It certainly cuts down on freight because we're not having to ship food as far. And it enables us to work within our local communities to create some sustainability for farmers.
Indiana has already received about $12.8 million from 2 rounds of LFPA funding. A third round, LFPA 25, was on the chopping block.
Currently, Indiana still has some of the first 2 rounds of funding that they will continue to spend. So our food banks, with what's left, will continue to purchase product from local farmers as long as we possibly can with the funding that exists.
WRTV reached out to the USDA to ask why these programs were cut. A spokesperson said in an emailed statement, quote, "Unlike the Biden administration, which funneled billions in CCC funds to short-term programs with no plan for longevity, USDA is prioritizing stable, proven solutions that deliver lasting impact." In Indianapolis, Nico Panisi, WRTV.
A spokesperson tells WRTV
is known for its agriculture, but some local farmers are facing uncertainty.
As the Trump administration announces another round of programs that are on the chopping block, Christina Van Zelst here with what this means for the Dairyland. Christina?
Ben, a local food grant program that was created during the pandemic is ending. Local farmers sell their food to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and then the food is distributed to local food programs. But federal cuts mean that agreement is ending as the growing season has already started.
It's a significant setback for Wisconsin producers.
Milwaukee's Hunger Task Force CEO Matt King says they've been monitoring federal policy changes from the Trump administration daily. This one hitting close to home. The USDA canceling the federal program that allows states to buy locally grown food for food banks.
Hunger Task Force used $250,000 of these USDA funds to support local Wisconsin producers, and specifically we purchased meat and fresh fruits and vegetables and made them available to 114 pantries.
The Hunger Task Force says it's seen a 30% increase in people turning to food pantries for help in just the last year. King says dozens of local farmers participate in the program. They've already started planting their crops. Now they are uneasy as doubt hangs over the future of the program started during the pandemic.
Now they face some relative uncertainty with regards to their markets and whether they'll have the markets for their products.
The USDA says it has more than a dozen other programs in place and says just last week it released over $500 million in funds to pay for food already purchased. In a statement to Fox 6, the USDA says in part, unlike the Biden administration, which funneled billions in CCC funds into short-term programs with no plan for longevity, USDA is prioritizing stable, proven solutions that deliver lasting impact. The COVID era is over. USDA's approach to nutrition programs will reflect that reality moving forward.
Hunger Task Force says it will continue to purchase from local producers. The USDA says the LFPA program will phase out at the end of that performance period. Ben, back to you.
And maybe then we'll really see the impact and know what's going on there. Christina, thanks.
All right. So that's the second video I want to show. A few little videos I want to show, but I'll be going somewhere with this. Again, guys, LFPA stands for Local Food Purchasing Agreement. LFPA stands for Local Food Purchasing Agreement. And we just thanking the Most High for everything that he's done and everything that he's doing. And I was a part of that program too. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is no shortage. There is no shortage at all when it comes to food. Like, I grow on a small plot of land, and there is no shortage at all. There is no shortage of food. You have to create scarcity. You have to create a shortage of food for the simple fact, because you won't be able to have people do what you want them to do when you want to go into this next global reset. So you have to destroy it and then rebuild it, come up with your solution. And that's if you think about that, you think about how Japan, they dropped the Nagasaki and Hiroshima. They dropped that bomb. Then they said, "Well, we're sorry," and then they went and rebuilt it. Right? They after reconstruction. Right? That's pretty much what it is. But what they want to do is a global reconstruction with things in place. Right? So one of the things that we need, most definitely, all of us, we need to eat and drink. Right? That's one of the things that we need. We need to eat and drink. Okay. So if you can stop the food, then you can stop, you can get more control over people and what they need and what you need them to do. Okay. But I want to share one more video. Well, not one more, a few more videos, and I'm gonna go on to a point. But remember, the private sector versus public sector. Right, the private sector is the cornering the market. Let's see right here. Bill Gates bought up $275,000. 275,000 acres. Right, so we got this food shortage. They're not buying from the local food pantries. They're not buying from the local food pantries anymore. But food is medicine. Fresh produce, fresh greens, onions, tomatoes, those things are fresh produce, and they're good for your body, right? It's a lot of the high salt and sugar content foods that pretty much put us sick. A lot of the foods that we grew up on, the food that we like, you've been putting it in your body for years and years and years, even as a child. Some of that stuff is not good for us, and that's the reason why we have ailments. So if you cut off LFPA, I'm getting ahead of myself with what I'm going to try to say here. But if you cut off LFPA and from buying from the local farmers, because that helped everybody out. They helped the local farmers out, as well as it helped out local farmers, and it helped out the food banks. It helped out the people, and you got fresh produce. Well, no, they cut that off and go back to canned goods and stuff, then more and going back to processed foods. You know what I mean? And something else to try to do to the regular food. And this is not a fear. This is to let us know that we need to start growing our own, right? We need to start growing our own food before seed become not available and they tax your garden, make it illegal. You know what I mean? They make healthy options illegal. Right, just like they demonize holistic food, so you can buy the petroleum-based products. All right, so let's go to the next one, real quick, which is this one. Check this out. He bought 275,000 acres of land. Let's see. All right, these commercials.
Project manager. World class.
Excuse me, guys.
Imagine enjoying a crispy McDonald's French fry and finding out it might come from a farm owned by Bill Gates. Yes, the tech mogul and philanthropist, famous for revolutionizing the tech industry, also holds the title of the largest private owner of farmland in the United States. With a staggering 275,000 acres under his belt, Gates has quietly established an agricultural empire that intertwines with the daily lives of countless Americans in unexpected ways. Gates's farmland portfolio spans across 19 states, each contributing to a diverse range of crops and agricultural outputs. Among the most significant holdings are vast tracts of land in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Notably, some of these farms produce the very potatoes that eventually make their way into McDonald's kitchens, where they are transformed into the iconic fries beloved worldwide. This connection underscores Gates' indirect yet profound influence on the nation's food supply, a role not typically associated with a tech entrepreneur. But Gates's relationship with McDonald's doesn't stop at supplying ingredients. He is also the proud holder of the elusive McGold card, a legendary piece of fast food lore that grants him unlimited free meals at McDonald's. This rare privilege is reserved for a select few, including billionaire investor Warren Buffett and actor Rob Lowe. The McGold card has become a symbol of exclusivity and indulgence, often referenced in pop culture as the ultimate fast food perk. Stories about it spark curiosity and envy, leaving many to wonder, what does it take to earn such a coveted item? While the exact criteria for receiving a McGold card remain shrouded in mystery, its holders are typically individuals with deep ties to the brand or extraordinary influence. Gates's foray into agriculture is more than just a business endeavor. It's part of a larger vision to tackle global challenges. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he has championed sustainable farming practices, funding innovations to address pressing issues like climate change, food insecurity, and the growing demand for efficient agricultural systems. However, Gates's vast farmland ownership has not been without controversy. Critics argue that such large-scale land consolidation by a single individual could lead to disproportionate control over agricultural resources, potentially sidelining small farmers and impacting rural communities. Others raise concerns about the ethical implications of private land ownership at such a scale in a world grappling with inequality and limited resources. Supporters contend that Gates's involvement in agriculture could be a catalyst for positive change. With his financial resources and commitment to innovation, he has the potential to drive advancements in agricultural technology and sustainability that might otherwise face significant funding challenges. In conclusion, Bill Gates's journey from tech pioneer.
All right, so that's very interesting, right? Very interesting. He went and bought up a lot of farmland, right? A lot of farmland because, you know, the first wave, everybody didn't take the jab, right? But everybody didn't take the jab. You know what I'm talking about? 2020, everybody didn't take the jab, right? But food, everybody got to eat. Everybody got to drink. So what better, and this is my speculation, what better thing to do than to get it into food? And I'm going somewhere with this. Just track with me. 2 more videos to show. Then we're going to read some scriptures and get out of here. I'm going to share this video. Now, this video right here, he was talking about, he's trying to do some different innovations. So my thing is, it's better to try to grow organic because basically in a nutshell, organic and rich food is more healthy for you, right? And you're not using pesticides and certain poisonous things. They say, yeah, you can rinse it off. It's not that harmful to you. But if you put a certain amount of poison on your crops to kill the insects, to kill the pests, some of that can get in you, if not all of it. You know what I mean? And that's what happens, right? You ingest you inject the chickens with hormones, right, to have it grow faster, so you can get it on the shelf quicker. Well, you eat that food, and your daughter eat those hormones, and now their hormones, you know what I'm saying, they're looking, you know, healthier. The son's looking a certain way as well. But what I'm saying is, you are what you eat. Like they say, additives say you are what you eat. So if we eat those different things, if what we eat those things, we eat those things as well. So organic practices is natural pest control ways to grow dense and nutrient-rich foods. We need nutrient. The whole reason of eating food is not just for taste and taste buds. The reason for eating food is for survival and to get the nutrients out of the food, right? There's nutrients in the soil. There's nutrients from the sun. Of course, we can't eat the sun, and you shouldn't eat soil, right? So the way Abba Yahuwah set it up is it's absorbed into these plants, and we eat the plants and we get it. You know, not to make it a farmer 101 course or a garden 101 course, but that's the whole thing. So now, but if you get away from those organic practices, then you can do other things. It can get real crazy. But let me show this next video. This next video real quick. Now this is what Gates coming in, and I know they always try to be on the edge of tech and innovation and technology, and different things like that. If the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it. And so they call themselves, trying to fix stuff that's not broken, trying to solve a problem that's not a problem. So they got to create a problem in order to sell you their solution, right? They create these problems and sell you their solution. And there's another thing that's very, very interesting, how this is 2 years ago, they were talking about climate change and all this stuff, and they was talking about food shortage. Where at? Of course, the continent in Africa. We start going back, a different thing like that, and have control over the land. So let's check out this real quick. Of all places, not Europe, he's from America, but Africa. Check this out.
Watch over that there, Mark.
Welcome, Bill.
Hi, thank you, Indy. Well, I brought some corn with me. Some people call it maize. That's about a square yard of maize, and it's like the maize that's grown in East Africa, where, of course, almost all the farmers have very small plots of land. They work with less than a hectare, which is about 2 acres, so just about 12,000 times as much as what's sitting right there. As Ndidi said, the Green Revolution was a miracle. It raised productivity of 3 key cereal crops, but primarily for Asia. It didn't do a good job on the ecosystems in Africa or the wide variety of crops used there. And so the low productivity, less than a quarter of productivity in rich countries, is not enough to feed Africa. So amazingly, despite low land costs, low labor costs, sub-Saharan Africa still imports billions of dollars of crops every year from all over the world. And that's the reason why the war in Ukraine is now causing a hunger crisis over 6,000 miles away in the heart of Africa. When we lose those food shipments, there's no capacity to grow more food. And it's more than just a market shock. We have malnutrition. In fact, we have the twin challenges of both population growth and climate change that's pushing down the productivity that we have on those farms today. And so this is quite alarming. Just let's look at a maize farmer. Maize would be about 30% of all the calories consumed in sub-Saharan Africa. So very, very key cereal crop. But as temperature comes in, it is sensitive to that temperature. For every degree above 30 degrees Celsius, you have the growing process breaking down more and more. And so each of those degrees per day cuts your yield by 1%. In other words, even if it was just 5 days at 35 degrees centigrade, you'd have a 25% productivity reduction. And that's what's projected just by the end of the decade. And if you go out to 2040, 2050, 2060, it gets substantially worse, because even in the best case, climate's temperature increases are continuing. The map here is key. It shows you the projected heat stress. And what you can see is that particularly that central band, the Sahel and south of the Sahel here, is terrible. And it's not just maize. Livestock and all the other crops are very temperature sensitive as well. And so if we just let this continue, we'll be moving away from that green revolution to sort of a brown regression, where you have lots of crops dying because of drought and heat effects. And even in the next decade, that will increase hunger. And if you let it go on, you'd have huge amounts of starvation. The projection just for 2030 is 32 million more hungry people. And so that's an incredible tragedy. Most of that is going to be women and children. When you have food shortages, they're the ones that suffer most. And we see that in the relative rates of malnutrition. And so, as Ndidi said, what can we do? This is an unacceptable situation. What is the force we can use to take that 32 million, not only get rid of it, but push?
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds good, philanthropic, but if you know these guys, it's not up to no good. Why do you care about the people on the continent? I know this is the part of the show people get upset with, and I'm not trying to bring fear or make you upset, but we just having a dialogue. Why do you care about people on the continent? Population growth. He said malnutrition, it affects malnutrition, climate change, and population growth. Right? It's a group of people, elitists, that think a group of some humans are undesirables. Like the ones who can't produce, who pretty much can't feed the machine or work for, they are pretty much undesirable. A lot of older people, they say, and then a lot of people that's with disabilities, and the black and brown people, especially the people on spiritual, the things, the people that's on the continent, they're undesirable. So why are you trying to save them? I mean, it sounds good on the surface, but it's something way more deep than that. Because, in my opinion, that deglobalization, that depopulation, to try to get rid of people. Oh, we got all of these carbons, we got all of these gases. We need to get rid of people. What? Most High said, "Be fruitful and multiply." You talking about getting rid of people, right? They don't come right out and say it. But they got different methods and different things in place, not just Planned Parenthood, not just about liquor in our communities, not just the food deserts. If we can't get access to high, dense, rich foods, nutrient foods, then we're going to have issues. We're going to have health issues. And what that's going to have us do? Stay at the doctor's office. Food is medicine. It's natural immunity. I believe in natural immunity, and I believe in not reinventing the wheel, right? And we have farmers in place that know the technology that can grow in droughts, that can grow in hot climates, right? What you do, if you really want to help them, you take them guys over there, all expense paid, pick their brain, and let them teach the farmers over there how to grow in a hot climate. Organic practices, right? Not no new chemicals, not no new different things that they're trying to introduce, right? They always talk about innovation and technology, but I believe in, some of the older ways. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? It's been around for thousands of years, and generations have survived from it. But I think the reverse happens when you have when you put your hand in on it. For the biotech and the innovation and technology, right? So I think that's one of the biggest issues. And it said 32 million women and children. Well, if they're the undesirable population in your eyes anyway, then it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going to show this last thing. Now, remember I told you everybody didn't take the jab, right? We all didn't take the jab. It was optional. And then they went through a series of forcing, a guilt trip first. Then how could you put the people in your house in harm's way by not taking the jab and not allowing them to take the jab? How could you, right? And then turned around in some states, New York and California, just to name a few. Hey, if you want the service job, you got to take this jab or you fired. They had an ultimatum. You're fired. You can't make income for your family, right? That's how they came with it. And we come full circle, and we see it ain't all what it's cracked up to be, right? It was a scare tactic to sell and experiment on us on a global scale like lab rats. I'm not saying people didn't get sick, right? I believe in natural immunity, and they got other different things. I'm not a medical doctor. And matter of fact, medical doctors, if you think about it, they push the petroleum-based products. They don't push they're not taught in medical school to push natural immunity, wellness, right? You know what I mean? Say for instance, if what you wanted to, if you was dealing with an issue, and I'm just making this up, and it was a pill, and this pill cost $250 per pill, right? Made in the lab somewhere, synthetic, and they had a natural from the ground. Let's say papayas and mangoes. If you mix papaya and mango, if you juice papaya and mangoes 3 times a week, it have greater effects than this pill. Well, papaya and mangoes, what is that, $5 a piece? Well, at the most for a week, maybe $40, if that, 30 or less, right? I can't save my $250 pill if you go with natural products, natural immunity, keeping up with your health, right? I can't say this $250 pill. So I have to demonize that and have you come and you got a food desert. And then after you get the food desert, then you got to come to me for your food, your medications. And you don't have one bottle. You have a whole line of bottles lined up along there, right? So I digress. So now I want to show you this last thing. This is what I think what they're going to try to what they're going with now. They got to make up their mind. Do they want to see people saved and alive and well, right? It's going to hurt population growth, right? Well, for the undesirables, you really don't care, in my opinion. Okay, you've been showing that over the last couple of 100 years. You got a elite class in your mind and an undesirable class. And if undesirable, if they're not working and feeding your machine, then they don't need to exist. And that's not the way of the Most High Yah. Most High Yah said, you're a Mago Dei, you're made in the image and likeness of me, Genesis 1, 26, 27. So that's different. So I'm going to show you this last one. So everybody didn't take the jab, but now I'm thinking that but everybody got to eat, right? Everybody got to drink, right? So check this out. Very interesting video. If everybody got to eat, why not put the stuff that's in the jab in the food, right? So the people that's for real, the real farmers that's doing organic practices, that's selling their product, right? You cut them out. They quote unquote the middleman, right? Back to that script where I was saying private sector. The definition of private sector. Let's read that definition of private sector. Private sector is a part of the economy not run by the government. It comprises of businesses and enterprises that are controlled by private individuals and groups for the purpose of making a profit. Companies and organizations run by the state are considered public sector. So a lot of the farmers that grow our food, they were funded partially or not fully by the public, quote unquote, public sector. But if you chop them off and have the private sector buy up all of the farming land, now we're at their mercy. All right, so let's show this one right here. This is very interesting though. So
as we humans try to reduce our impact on the planet, all sorts of products are going plant-based, from burgers and meatballs to shoes. And now, even vaccines are following suit. Scientists are developing vaccines that can be grown in plants instead of animal cells. In 2006, the first plant-based vaccine was approved in the US for chickens. And while this technology is still not widely used, it gives us an idea where vaccines might be headed and why we might want them to go the way of the Beyond Burger. Now, traditionally, vaccines are grown in eggs or animal cell cultures. That's because to produce a vaccine the traditional way, you need a bunch of copies of a virus. And if you inject a virus into animal cells, it will grow and replicate itself. For instance, one way to manufacture the flu vaccine is in the cells of fertilized chicken eggs. Other vaccines, like the ones for polio and measles, are grown in cultures of animal cells that have been propagated in labs. Once these viruses are grown, they're extracted and then typically weakened or killed before getting injected into people, or chickens, to give them immunity. But this isn't the only way to do things. It's also possible to grow vaccines in plants. It just works a little differently. Instead of growing a whole virus in the plant's cells, genetic engineers transfer certain genes from the virus into the plant's genome. Those genes make viral proteins that appear in the plant's tissues or seeds, and then just eating the plant could provide immunity. No need for a shot. For example, scientists have successfully grown a common protein found in the flu virus in a tiny flowering plant called duckweed. This means that an animal like a chicken could eat this duckweed and boom, vaccinate itself against the flu. But even if the plant that grew the vaccine can't be eaten directly, the viral proteins could be extracted from the plant and mixed with foods. And again, the vaccine could be eaten, which would just be so much more convenient than having to vaccinate a population with shots. These vaccines come with other benefits too, like since plant-based vaccines are produced in plant tissues, they can be stored at room temperature, like the seeds or dried leaves of any other plant. That's way easier than handling other vaccines, which typically have to be transported and stored at precise temperatures, sometimes well below freezing. Plant-based vaccines are also quicker and cheaper to manufacture, because when you're making a vaccine in animal cells, you have to go to great lengths to make sure they don't get contaminated with pathogens. But that's typically not a worry when you're making a vaccine in plants. So you might be wondering why anyone is still getting shots instead of just popping an edible plant-based vaccine. And the answer is that, for now, scientists still don't know how to make oral vaccines as effective as injected ones. For one, it's a lot easier for the viral proteins in a vaccine to survive in the bloodstream than in an organism's stomach. Your digestive system is, in fact, very good at breaking down proteins. That's kind of the point of eating. So the challenge is getting these viral proteins to survive long enough for the body to identify them and mount an immune response, and remember the experience later if it encounters the real pathogen. And scientists haven't completely cracked that yet. There's also a problem called oral tolerance. In mammals in particular, the gut sometimes ignores viral proteins rather than mount a massive inflammatory response. This can be helpful because mammals often encounter harmless viruses in their food that they don't need to waste energy fighting off. But when the point of a vaccine is specifically to introduce the body to an intruder so it can learn to fight it off in the future, oral tolerance can be a problem. Fortunately, for reasons that aren't completely understood, oral tolerance isn't such a big problem among chickens. So scientists are especially interested in applying these methods to vaccinate chickens against viruses like avian influenza, which can wreak all sorts of havoc. These diseases can kill off chickens and cause huge spikes in the price of eggs and meat. But on top of that, bird flu can sometimes jump to people, and some strains can be deadly. So scientists, farmers, and ordinary people have good reason for wanting to vaccinate chickens en masse, and edible vaccines could be a huge improvement over current methods. I mean, today's methods typically involve bringing a qualified person out to a farm to individually vaccinate thousands of birds. If you have 20,000 chickens, that's 20,000 syringes or eyedroppers, not to mention 20,000 anxious birds. On the other hand, you could toss them some vaccine-spiked plants and they could vaccinate themselves while they eat. This technology still has a ways to go, but plant-based vaccines may play a more important role in our lives in the future. Halting the spread of bird flu and other poultry viruses depends on getting vaccines made, transported, and distributed fast. And it's starting to look like plant-based oral vaccines may be a good way to do that. Vaccine development and distribution is an ongoing problem that a lot of people are trying to...
All right. So you see what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna tell you something. That video was 2 years ago before we had this whole thing with the bird flu and the eggs. So, they be spinning these different narratives, man, to be like, oh, man, we got these bird flu and we got these egg things going on. So we're gonna give them this plant-based vaccine so they can be better. You know what I mean? And then that goes into you. Or get you plant-based jab, plant-based vaxes. I'm gonna say it like that. Plant-based vaxes in your food. Right? Because kind of upset that I see the videos kind of upset that everybody didn't take that jab. Right? They gave away concert tickets, lottery tickets, and they even forced other people. And then some people just didn't take it, right? Right? And so, but everybody got to eat. So if we cut out the farmer, private sector. Like, I'm not a professional. Like, he's a tech person. How did he get into medical and farming? I'm not saying you can't be multifaceted. But if he's a tech person, how did he get into farming and medicine? Because he got money. Elon Musk is not in aeronautics, right? How does he looking at confidential records and stuff like that? Because he got some billions of dollars, right? That don't make sense. You're not based off y'all. We all got to be qualified and certified, right? Sometimes we get Stockholm syndrome when we go teach and stuff. Oh, you ain't qualified and certified. You didn't go through the proper channels to be qualified and certified. They do that even with preaching. Oh, you ain't qualified and certified. Now, I know you just want to get up there and just say whatever, right? But a lot of people preach you under the stairs and ain't bit more been in the seminary, cold with it, 4th grade education. They got a relationship with the Ruach, the Most High, and they just getting that revelation download. But anyway, so yeah, the first wave, everybody didn't take it, right? And then it's three different, right, jabs. Now they seeing the side effects. They're not sharing the side effects, right? People are dropping, healthy people are dropping dead like a mug, right? And rest in peace to if you was listening, have lost a loved one to it, you know. So I'm not being insensitive to that. So let's read these different things right here. Let's read these different things. I'm gonna read Obadiah. We're gonna get on up out of here. All right. This is crazy, man. It's pride before the fall. It's a pride, then it's a fall. And every nation on that statue thought they was untouchable. I thought they were untouchable until the overthrow happened. And sometimes even by weaker nations. But you know, let me see. I'm trying to, there we go. Obadiah. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Also says that Abba Yahuwah resist the proud but give grace to the humble. But if you're trying to continue to build your Tower of Babel, trying to get your global reset, not under the way that the Most High got everything set up, right? From a fear, from a worry, from an oppression, from a scarcity, and only the ones who cooperate will be able to have dibs on the goods. That's the whole goal. You ain't got dibs on the good. You're not going to be able to have access to the goods if your social credit score ain't together. And I'll talk about that later. A vision of Obadiah. Thus said the Most High Yah concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Most High, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee. Thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, and said in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And I think that's very interesting. They've got build these underground cities, tear up everything on the surface, and then they're gonna just live happily ever after underground. Thou thought, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, though thou set thy nest among the stars, hence I will bring thee down, says the Most High. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they have enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought up? All the men of the confederacy have brought even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat the bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none under him. That's interesting. You talk about the confederacy, right? The confederacy of nations coming together. Shall I not in that day, said the Most High, even destroy the wise men out of Edom? So these guys they're innovative, they're thinking to be wise, but you're a hireling, right? And John 10 said, my sheep hear my voice and another they won't follow. But a hireling will sell the sheep to the highest bidder, will lead the sheep out, will lead the sheep astray. Understanding out of the mount of Esau, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that everyone of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day thou hast stood it in the other side, in the day of the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners enter into the gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them, but thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he become a stranger. Neither shalt thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldst have not entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shalt not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither should thou have stood in the crossways to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shalt thou have delivered those of his that remain in the day of distress. Right? 15. This is my main. For the day of the Most High is near upon the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done to thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mount, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and shall be as a thought they had not been. Hallelujah. So basically, what it's saying is, you reap what you sow. Right? You sow to the flesh, you reap corruption. Right? You sow to the spirit, you reap everlasting life. Right? There's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. Right? And everything that glitters not gold, and everything is not good for us. Right? As a whole, as a nation, as people. Right? And they trying to reinvent the wheel with this innovation and technology. Right? They could just go with natural immunity. This little suit that we wearing is made out of the ground. So you get plants from out of the ground and heal it when it's sick. You don't put synthetic. You don't pour oil. If my plants start looking sickly, I would do natural remedies. I don't go get a thing of crude oil or motor oil and start pouring it over in my soil. Right? That's not going to help it better. That's not going to help it get better. Right? So anyway, it's very interesting. Let me know what you think. Share, like, subscribe, share. Make sure you hit the Paleo Hebrew. Hit those hearts in the bottom right corner. We just thank you guys for coming out. We're going to pray even right now, and we're going to close out. Abba Yah, in the name of Yahushua, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. And we lift you up. We honor you. We adore you. There's none like you in the heavens and the earth. And we thank you for all the many blessings you bestowed upon us. And let us be wise as serpent, but harmless as doves, Abba Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua. And we just ask you to just bless us and keep us and lead us and guide us into all truth. Abba Yah, give us discernment in this end time. Let us, you said that hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. Let us hunger and thirst after your righteousness. In Yahushua HaMashiach name we pray. Amen. Elephant Man Podcast Network. Grown Man Conversation. Ever in the room. I am out. Perfect.